So there's 4 products. There's the VT3 vocal transformer, there is the TB3 touch bassline, and the TR8 rhythm performer. The TR8 does TR808 and TR909 sounds. It's currently in its, when you leave it alone for a while, it starts doing this. And then there's the System 1. It has its own sound engine inside it, and with bit crushers and all kinds of delays, 2 oscillators, but it has a plug-out technology. So we're making this is something that hasn't gotten out there yet. We're making VST plugins of a lot of our classic synthesizers. So, well, some to start off with. So the first one will probably be the SH-101. So this will actually be able to be a controller for the SH-101 synthesizer. But the cool thing is that you can, when this is a controller for it, it will drop away the controls. So only the things will light up that work for that individual synthesizer. But you can, there's a technology called plug out. So the VST synthesizer can actually be hosted inside the System 1. You can disconnect it, take it out, and play it. So you'd have System 1 control, and then you'd have plug out. So you could actually switch between the 2 synths. So that I could have the System 1 and then push this button, and it's an SH-101 or an SH-2 or whatever we decide to make.
So it has the built-in sound engine, plus it's got the MIDI function.
Plus, yeah, so you have the 2 different models you can switch between.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty huge. So all of this stuff is based on this new analog circuit behavior technology. So that's the big question everybody wants to know is how does it make sound? Is it PCM? Is it multi-sample PCM? Is it supernatural? It's none of those things. It is a new modeling technology called analog circuit behavior. And so there's original designers that either are in the company or we have access to that worked on the TB303, the TR808, the TR909. So consulting, schematics and historical data and pristine units and the original designers, and then developing a really cutting-edge new modeling technology. They model everything down to the component level. All the individual circuitry and everything is faithfully recreated. And then compare it against the original units in all of their various states, and all the behaviors have been modeled as well. So, for instance, the analog sequencer in the TB303, this acts just like it. The filters, which make, of course, the TB303 so special, that's been faithfully modeled. In the TR8, for instance, when on a TR808, when you would accent certain steps and particular instruments were going through the accents, the tonality would change. That's been modeled. So I mean, this sort of obsessive attention to detail, and you'll hear it. It's pretty amazing. What I can do is give you, and it's all synced together, by the way. So I've got MIDI cables going between, so everything is perfectly synced. Then there's this technology called scatter, which gives you these sort of different types of glitch effects and things. So on the TR8, it will take the patterns and roll steps and reverse them and do things that you can control the depth of, so it's performance oriented. On the TB3, it will sort of truncate the patterns and make them do very bizarre things, easier to hear. In the System 1, which is not ready yet, the scatter control applies basically to the arpeggiator, so it has an advanced arpeggiator in it, and when you work with this dial, you can actually scatter the arpeggios so that they do all kinds of random things and stuff as well.
Cool.
So,
very cool.
So it's a ton of fun. And then you've got the VT3, which is kind of cool. So it can do robot vocals like this, and there's actually a button called Robot, so you can yes, I'm talking now, I'm here to steal your mind. And there's you can synthesize themselves, and you can control the balance. I can just have a little synth, and I can talk like this. And you've got lead sounds, and then I can be a bass sounds.
This is the megaphone sound. We have come from another planet. And then there's reverb on it. And then radio sound. And then scatter.
It's like a velocity sensitive effect. So all of this stuff has USB in it. It's the internal resolution of everything, by the way, is 32-bit 96K, so it's super high resolution inside. No stepping, no aliasing. They all have aluminum tops. They don't slide around due to the high quality feed. All the knobs and sliders have the same resistance, and are designed to be able to play. So it's cool. So why don't I give you a quick demo of what it does, like just as sort of a performance, and then we can go over the individual stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with, I'm going to be using sort of a hybrid kit in here, and we'll use, so the way this is set up actually is audio for the TV3 is going into the TR8, so I can actually, there's a sidechain compressor in here that will actually duck out the bass part when this is turned up, and I can turn it down or mix in between, so you'll hear it kind of moving with the patterns. Alright, so let us begin. Let's see.
Time does not exist. Systems locked. Recharge locked. Recharge locked. Recharge locked. This ain't no rat race. I see life in your face.
So the first one, let's talk about the VT3 vocal transformer. So this one is designed for live performance or as an audio interface for podcasts, things like that. DJs to be able to do various types of vocal things. So it has a direct mode. So I am just speaking normally with a little bit of reverb. So this would be just a dry vocal sound. I can also do, let's say, for instance, a vocoder. So this doesn't need a carrier signal, and I can hit the robot button. So yes, it does have a robot button, and I can do robot. So it's a very hard-edged vocoder sound. It's the very Aira command, the classic Roland vocoder sound. Can also be synthesizers. And I can mix it with my vocal, have just a little bit of synth behind it. It does, for instance, like bass sounds. So you can do like human wobble basses and things. Megaphone sound. This is the megaphone. This is the megaphone with a format pitch on it. And I can also do a high megaphone with a little bit of megaphone, a little bit of reverb. There's a radio. We are on the radio. But of course, you don't get any distortion or anything because you're not having to run through distortion, so you don't get feedback. There's XLR input, and you can send out a dry signal as well as the affected signal, so for live performance and things.
MIDI in for controlling pitch?
No MIDI in. It's all, the pitch is all controlled by the pitch of your voice, so it doesn't require any kind of keyboard or anything like that. I mean,
so if you want to do a bass line or something like that, it's following your pitch?
You sing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate that, or?
Try. So it just follows your pitch, or you can actually use the pitch slider. So if we go, slider or
okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, if you go into robot mode, it's just one. It just sticks on the same one, which works great for the vocoder because it doesn't matter what pitch I talk in, it just goes like this, and I can control it with this. So you can set this to the pitch of the song, and then no matter what you do, it's going to sit in the pitch of the song. So,
okay.
So that's how the VT3 works. Then there's a bypass and a reverb, so I can get sounds like that. So it's really designed to do, kind of more aggressive vocal type sounds. It's not really meant to be very subtle, although with bypass and, the mix balance, it can be. It also does like auto-tune, hard-tune type effects as well. So that's the VT3.
What is that expected to sell for?
$199. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, VT3 will be $199. And it also has USB for USB audio, and it has a loopback function. So aside from, DJs and vocalists that are being a little more adventurous and that kind of thing, it could also be used for, podcasts and all these kinds of things. So it also has 1/8 inch in the front microphone and headphone as well, plus the XLR. And it has phantom power, and, it's very cool. So that brings us to the TB3. And the TB3, probably rather obviously, is based on the TB303, the very famous TB303 bassline synthesizer, touch bassline it was called. And so what it has is a pressure-sensitive touchpad. So this is a more classic TB sound. So it's pressure-sensitive. It's actually segmented inside, so you can actually, and it slides. It has slides and ties and accents and all that kind of stuff. The analog sequencer in the original TB303 has been perfectly modeled as well. So when it comes to the original TB waveforms, the TB filters, and the TB sequencer, it's a TB303. And the cool thing is the touchpad can be used for envelope mode. So the touchpad has all kinds of multiple purposes. I can pick patterns. Or I can chain patterns together. Or I can pick non-contiguous patterns just by dragging down. It also has XY. So I can play it with volume up and down and pitch up here. And then the scatter function, which truncate. There's different types of scatters. And then there's all kinds of sounds in it. So, you know, there's take like a more aggressive TV sound. And the effect is designed to go with the patch. So it might be a chorus, it might be a reverb, it might be a delay. So it, you know, models like modified TVs, all kinds of tonality. It also does all kinds of bass sounds, other bass sounds. So Bank B are TB vibe and feel, but not the original. So it does a lot more than the TB. And then beyond that, tons of basses for all different styles of music, like ambient stuff. And then it has these sort of lead style sounds. Like video games. You can transpose the patterns. And you can also do sort of subtle randomizations. It'll randomize some notes, some slides, and ties. You can do total pattern randomization. Different ones. So you make it sound as crazy or as, you know, as simple as you want. Do things like this. Tons of fun on one thing, and this will sell for $299. It's a new modeling technology. It doesn't use any PCM samples. It's not a multi-sample thing. It's not even supernatural or anything like that. It's a new modeling technology that we developed called analog circuit behavior, or ACB. So what we do is we go through and take, you know, original units and don't just model their output, but take them apart and analyze every circuit and every component to the circuitry inside. And model its behavior. So, or take schematics, give them to engineers, and then they might not even know what they're working on at the time, but they will model the behavior of some aspect of that. So, inside Roland and connected to Roland, we have the original people who worked on 303s and 808s and 909s, and we have, of course, very pristine units and access to lots of other units. So, for instance, with the TB3, we faithfully looked at TB303s, talked to the original designers, schematics, historical data, all this stuff, and made them so that they sound exactly the same. So the filter characteristics, the waveforms themselves, the behavior of the analog sequencer that was in it, or if we're talking about, let's say specifically a TR-808 had a behavior where, let's say, when you would accent certain steps, different instruments going into the accents would change the tonality of those individual instruments, and we've modeled that as well. So it's probably sounds unlike what most people would associate with modeling. It's a very cutting edge modeling. It's definitely, I think when a lot of people think digital, they think takes a long time to boot up, has lots of menus, maybe doesn't have very good latency, maybe sounds somewhat static. You can't just grab controls, or there might be stepping in the filters, there might be aliasing. There's all these things that have been associated, rightfully so, with digital technology, especially PCM technology. Going beyond that to modeling, there's all kinds of modeling. There's sort of primitive modeling, there's more advanced modeling, and also what you have access to as far as the original units makes a big difference. So this is a very new cutting edge modeling technology, and and just having access to all this. For instance, you look at a TR-808, and we can move over to this. A real TR-808, the original, they all sound different. And I was over in Japan recently. They had 3 TR-808s out, and every single one of them sounded different. The kicks, decays, some of them had long decays, some didn't. The claps were at different tunings and things like that. So
the aging, basically?
Aging process, yeah. The component tolerances, all these things. So, and then there are TR-808s out there that have been modified. So like a lot of the rap and hip-hop guys would get modified TR-808s, so they would have these sort of self-oscillating long decay times on the kick drums. But of course, once you modify it, it's modified. You can't really go back. So. And we all know that they're quite expensive out there, and they're aging. And also, there's just things that you might want them to do that they can't do. Also, we've with the ACP technology been able to put an 808 and a 909 in here with both of their behaviors, and allow you to build custom kits and things that are hybrids between the two. So when it comes down to the, did you have a question?
No, that's
okay. When it comes down to the way you sequence on it, it's been faithfully recreated. So I mean, the way the 808s and 909s and things did step sequencing kind of has become the de facto standard for how people step sequence, and so that's been recreated. So if you've ever worked on an 808, and I have people who are famous guys that worked with 808s, when they get their hands on this, it
just makes sense.
They take to it like a fish to water, as we say. So, but there's some new things. So every single instrument has really nice sliders meant to be played for volume, and they all have tune and decay. Every single instrument has tuning and decay. The kicks have compressors, the snares have compressors. A lot of times when people hear a real 808, especially younger people, they're sometimes a little disappointed by sometimes the way it sounds, because they've been used to hearing compressed TR-808 kicks and these kinds of things. So this does all that. So first thing everybody always wants to hear is the kick drum. So I will, let's take a listen to it. So that's a 909 kick. And so there's compression, decay, real short, real long, fast attack, slow attack, and tuning. Now, then the probably the most primary thing everybody wants to hear is the 808 kick. So this is the standard 808. More decay. Way low tuning. You feel shit shakes the whole place. Now, here's a super long decay, so this would be like a modified 808 kick, which could do like the self-oscillating. So you can use it to play bass lines and things, so you can hear it decays out. And the cool thing is, these are, you turn them off and turn them on, they come back exactly the way you left them. The knobs never have to take over from some preset or something. It doesn't act that way. If you turn a knob this way, it's that way. The compressor's all the way up, regardless of what drum's going through it or what have you. And the units, if you change patterns, unless it's locked, it stays that way. So it acts like kind of a living, breathing drum machine. And so let's take a listen to snares. that's obviously an 808 snare. And we've got decay, compressor. There's the snappy control, which gives it kind of a little more snap. Well named. Tuning, deeper. And then you can actually do things like, you know, rolls and things. So. 8 notes, 16 notes, variations. So let's check out the 909 snare. So we just select it, instrument select. D1, go short 909. So, hi-hats. There's your 909 hi-hat. We want to try an 808 hi-hat. Again, just instrument select. So you know your decay on it, totally playable. Tuning. So it's, you know, it's just perfectly playable device. Then there's, you know, toms and rim shots and hand claps. Let's take a listen to the hand clap. Now what's cool too is there's actually per step reverb and delay, so which the originals didn't have. So you've got a gated reverb and a delay that kind of acts like a space echo a little bit. And you've got, you know, per step control over that stuff. So we go into TR rec mode, the delays and reverbs act just like the drums would. So you can see there's our snare drums.
Sequencing the effect?
Exactly. So there's our hand claps. And you can determine which instruments go through the delays and which instruments go through the reverbs. So, so let's say the hand clap here, while we're playing, maybe we want to have delay on step 13. When you stop it, just continues to go into K just like it would on an analog instrument. Reverb works the same way, accent as well. You'll also see like there's an external input, so you can plug in other instruments or recording devices, you know, like playback devices, or things like the TB3. So, like in this case, let's just get back to some kind of sound like this. Bring it up a little bit. I've actually got it running into the external input. So. So if I crank up the sidechain, it's like ducking in and out.
Yeah.
And that's per step too, so I can control. So let's take a different pattern like. Ducking on 5, 11, and steps 13. So I bring it out. Then I've got, you know, like shuffle control so we can swing the whole thing a little bit. scatter control, which is incredibly fun and sort of addictive. There's 10 different types of scatter, which they do rolls and flams and reverses and all kinds of things on the beats, and then you can control the depth of that effect. So for instance, if I pick a particular time of scatter, let's say number 4 for instance, different types of scatter, like really extreme things. So all kinds of cool things. So that's obviously something that wasn't in the original units, which is a ton of fun. And you know, since the TB3 is going into the TR8, this scatter control is actually working with both of them at the same time, so they can be independent or together as well. So,
in terms of connectivity,
yeah,
what sort of outs does it have, and how does it like synchronization with the other?
Yeah, great
gear?
question. So it has left and right output, obviously, 1/4 inch. It has assignable 1/4 inch left and right outputs as well. So you could run, you know, kick out one, snare out the other, and then everything else out the other 2 outputs. So those are freely assignable to whatever.
So 4 outputs?
Basically 4 assignable outputs, right. Then 2 external inputs as well, so that's coming from the TB3. Over USB, you'll get every instrument as a separate audio stream. So over USB, you're getting complete separate outputs. As far as synchronization, it's over MIDI. So MIDI over USB or physical MIDI cable. So you can. So these are all synced together. So they have through functionality as well. So the way I've got it set up is the TR8 is the master. So I've got my nice tempo control here, my shuffle, my fine tune, my tap tempo. So that's a great master control. It's sending MIDI to the TB3. TB3 is then sending MIDI into an octave capture, which is driving a Tractor over here as well. So you can integrate it with, you know, Live or Tractor or, you know, any type of software that somebody might be using or other hardware. Yeah.
What's the pricing expected to be on that?
TR8 will be $499.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that's what people will actually be able to pick them up for.
The expected availability?
Sometime in March.
Not far away. Okay, great.
Yeah, March for the TR8, the TB3, and the VT3 will all be March. So, you know, I mean, it's a great combo, and I you know, personally, I can't imagine having this without this. They'd be absolutely great independently, and they're huge amounts of fun. But the two together are just, you know,
super fun.
Yeah, take them out of the box, pattern one, hit play, and you've got.
Kind of aside, like, how long have you had to practice and have fun and mess around with these guys?
You know, I've had various prototypes. Well, the System 1. No time at all, hardly, because it's very, very new. You know, probably a couple of months or so
cool.
in various stages of functionality. But for production units, only probably a week or something like that. So you know, you can adapt to them really, really quick, and they're just a huge amount of fun. And they sound great. That's the most important thing, is they sound really fantastic.
Before we get into the System 1.